1 hour with Munufie Suni. I was for and they assign our life. We did say o Philippa Ghana and Simbi SC. Ase my yara kakra. Inyuma no dos wana fi de nema ni BBTB tu kakra. Tiende assign our life on the show. Ne obete sound so wasum. Ebe to be a man Supreme Court judges egu ho nyina. In any most decision. I'm them punching omoje. Bia bejene de ne obi ofata bia ne obejene de. Professor Michael Okwe bejene de ene. Eno ho akokwara guy akokwara boni a o man hwe. Ye de be man kama pa. Fe. But also be nyamra obetimi afre on the show. Along the point in the WhatsApp line betuja. Na afide atwe enkomo no abom. Nti nyabotere ma me 1 hour with Munufie. Pacho me din any William Munufie amankona. All right, Abuja for me that was say when yamre na oneme ebetena ene nkoma ebetwetwe no ye beko deep pa ewo sa Supreme Court judges decision we are omede ba ya ase edin sembebre abagana. That is something we are going to discuss today in team ipache we yamre we go deep down into that part of conversation. Now if the Bible say the Speaker of Parliament and so any decision be by recently I think say no na kofa sanze muyaba. The Bible say Speaker of Parliament decision or the bayano is it in accordance with the law? In the Constitution of Ghana so ewa I think say I'll take my time and then take you through the Constitution of Ghana as well. In the and the Bible you man gidi pa the Constitution unto I go back up here then you can actually see say a Constitution of Ghana and then so yedebeye ejuma. That is something and so and ebe committee and e media grow if any ya media grow epacho so what aja with me atana na atwe enkomana bom because it's becoming say some group of persons be Ghana or my imagine say Ghana no it seems to say omo person omo test say Ghana bibi betimi asi ana bibi ntimi nsia. That is how I've seen say there are some group of persons in Ghana they just want to test Ghana to see say Ghana and the Ghanaians are they timid, are they strong, or how our Ghanaians actually are. I seem to say almost a microphone to assign young kokorafua or magua they seem say or my brabono assign but that is what they want to do in the society. And that is the area and me know ebabeko. Na saa nkokorafo no be bisa say bi ni hwan e bi ni Professor Michael Kwe me pa cha ye Professor Michael Kwe wa ha na hwe se papa ontimi nante ontimi nya hwe yet adwe money ahye ne ma e pa cha ye Professor Michael Kwe so what I say? Oh, papa, ontimi nanti o. Papa we I Speaker of Parliament da. Emreya yewra the current Speaker of Parliament Alban Barbin edia wuruli papa we akan bi o Parliament da. Waye bi da. Enso enne esan say oye NPP ninti NDC Speaker of Parliament ko ye ya o se onti ase say Barbin ayesa ade no. Babi e wanyina du ontimi nanti onwie ne nkwa ho onwie so be ko heaven ho. On me say ni wu aben nso nkwase asem Ghana nkokorafo nkwa na nsem ni die ahye oboma say odi nsem ne za akomiso bewu na afi de achiri mma na mo ba mo anya hwe anye. That is Professor Michael Kwe Sumaya out Ghana odi no. Professor Michael Kwe na why Speaker of Parliament ye kai say na anoda kwa yira agbamba aben kwa so corporate Speaker of Parliament na Professor Michael Kwe e ka ho bi papa ye pagya de frika mu ontimi na tide kiteketare de ko seat so o sister person Speaker of Parliament. Wanya intino Barbin enya dia odi Barbin abro. Enti Professor Michael Kwe yebisa say na decision ya Barbin eteki in accordance with Article 97 no tie na hu na ozo Barbin anya de Barbin anya de wan kasem ni kura de bisa say na say wo ka bi ozo me den de party natural letter brem so mayi omadi ohu jimini adwen papa panyi onim nyansa papa we Professor Michael Kwe san ye sofo kan ho ade ha me say aside say oye politician no osan ye sofo e ka ho NPP twerɛ letter ɛde abrɛw ɛne sɛ nipa nankasa ɛkɔ file wɔ yisi sɛ me every na ɛkɔ me member of parliament on the ticket of NPP nso me kɔ independent anaasɛ me independent na mete parliament ba me kɔ on the ticket of NPP no de he na yɛ stronger. Common sense African ni bibini nko a opoma ne ba bia empoma wa na gbe so obedi bone obedi nsamane no eno a na so ye ne den a obedi. Papa bi na organ friend professor wa you say ni the same thing eto no because okroso carpenter mbra ne se wankasa watwon ho afrim ye ma me hawa Yakubu the same thing eto no saa na wo professor Mark Ekwe ya wote hwa ne wa wo to pound na ma wo to pound sa dan kono wo de be to the same papa ya ono oba parliament no ye the same independent candidate no wo ye the same thing abra wo professor Mark Ekwe wo ye speaker of parliament ke se woni ba be na kopre ama wandima wan ni tin no ke se ni bre ne ahoye ya NPP onkrofobia o mani bre te se na nado pepepe inu raf pa che bia boko de ma yera kakra na ja mo fa nche sometimes na ja oni ma kontu mun se me adwuma ne emun sensem bebre nti NPP fo we de udi o machi a da bia obenya asem NPP fo nkwasiafo pa sa da bia obenya asem udi o machi de benya asem but sometimes they say ese yera kakra na afidi ekope ni ebidi na edeba that is the key word na makano ese ekope ni ebidi minoraf nti mfa ncheme. Yeah, common sense is not common for NPP for that is what something it seems to say ya omadwene na ye be pompe common sense e da she omadwen mu nti ye de o man kase be constitution num na nipa ya se omakogu Supreme Court ho a omode nsawone kwa no mudi no omaya omadwen se omode omonsesa na Ghana nko a ne man a some Supreme Court judges or justices ba che mo papa we o kan nipa 5 no ebu asam ne ho papa we kan obi if any justice and it's yao gawu or something like that EY gawu say gewu say me minimum high body dimpo the same person no ohwe no wa ha he was once NPP parliamentary candidate now we the way kontra Supreme Court office dey decision no the baba Ghana ba now when bibi obi tiachira amanfo we bra adwen ne say Supreme Court no ukoye course bi answer wako Supreme Court there be Ghana wonye course bi answer wako Supreme Court. That is far from that. The only thing I want to say, so a lawyer of good standing now I practice on the bar for 15 years and above, it's me appoint to straight away to Supreme Court. Intimate say me a lawyer and my private even lawyer for 15 years and above. A government could appoint me to go onto the Supreme Court. Enti ubenya obi oja ponche still buka continue Supreme Court. The Supreme Court judges, they are not different people. Me Ghana for no more ekoba ye bi ene na mhosa na machira na nado appoint no. Not na kwacha ho. Pacho ka justice be fence justice kulenji se na one attorney general masemi ayetimi kudi asemofie no. One attorney general no more the same chambers e wona na ado chambers ene na kwacha ho so nko judge. You could see say decisions of money baba enye decision be a decision fufuro be a decision e firi na na do fie na eba enomoye. That is why Afenyo Marking School quickly organized the whole Supreme Court. No Supreme Court na akotena se kodi Afenyo Marking nko asem abra LGBTQ asem na ekotena odeda no Supreme Court o muni mere because you bisa o mo time no is someone because o mo ndoso. Yet Afenyo Marking single-handedly could order the whole Chief Justice to constitute panel of 5 members to sit on this Nkwasi Asem Keke. To announce what I say. That is the Ghana we are building. If you keep on building a society like this, we are kokora but obe kono and chirimana oba no obe problem e de amaomo.
Mufasiano emani.
Sa asem e na wo pe e de abetoma enem na NPP fo we there.
Nkwasiafo pa ma Jimmy MPP for Jimmy me who be stupid people. I don't know why I belong to that political party.
Exactly. And the Supreme Court justices no. Any special person behind the court no lawyer bia or your friend to the bar for 15 years and above of good standing. Now or no bet me determine the Suban ye be an Supreme Court judge. Until we know you don't have to see them as any special group of persons bia. They are the same people you see on the street. Lawyer for now and the judges or major point channel the same group for na be na court na. They are not different. Now, surprisingly, no, Afenyo Markins and same way they call court to honor. court no saw the need, say it is urgent. That is why we are an ex-party. But the question is, what is the urgency in this particular matter? And then secondly, Speaker of Parliament, court no antimi anyina wo say kohwehwe speaker na ko serve na sana waba. I say Ghana no, the perception a normal Ghanaian was a court no bias no. Every single day be a court no some the same idea no obi agye dey say that be mo adwen nya adwuma. Ade amoye no em fata say esamoye. Chief Justice wo te Ghana ho. Onye special person bia Ghana ho. Ghana constitution no and ama 3 arms of government. 3 arms of government. You the judiciary and a chief justice what da no. Legislature and a barbing and a dano and executive in an anado in a pound for a dano. These 3 obi a juma pepe obi anya bing in jobio. That be I don't know why the court thinks that they are more powerful than even the legislature. You are not powerful than the legislature. You are the same. When you know pe the juma e amount of court no wo attend and away and then the Supreme Court no per article I think the 2 of the Ghana's constitution no wo interpret the constitution and this say remember ne obi nya asem na say entiase na constitution entiase ye ba be dan wo Supreme Court no wo juma no bi no menka say nyina no but juma bi ni say mo interpret the constitution no e de kire nipa na entiase no even the lower court no kwa rule asem na if the interpretation of the constitution ebeye adia obi antiasia they pause and go to the Supreme Court for the interpretation of the constitution. And this amokaya abra speaker Babin Tana Parliament say or especially and I say or call it the vacancy of these 4 MPs or can say he is not seeking to interpret the constitution but to the best of his understanding as a lawyer and then as the speaker of Ghana's parliament. Entina o gina sa amera no so e de yi san krufu efiri ho enti se obi se ontia se na o ko Supreme Court no was say dey say wo ko ka se ade aba me ye eye ana enye which means you are going to interpret the constitution and yes wo ko ka kire parliament adwuma mo ye no omofanto ho. You get things wrong here. Supreme Court now what you say you need to interpret the constitution, but this is the case that Supreme Court no who say agent they fail to interpret the constitution. Say be article 97(1) no say na chere and I say na chere they did not do that, but they were rather no in haste to call the Speaker of Parliament say on sign reinstate no because of what? Oh, Supreme Court what you say when I Parliament you money. Supreme Court what you say who interpret constitution. Pachi yango article 2(1) and then article 2 of Ghana's constitution. Na yango he adibia yoho. Maybe sometimes the Supreme Court judges no grano. I just say ebia esan chira o made. Sana me madwen chira o and I say adwen money bi na chese. So my ye say dey how mo odwen ho ko awon chira ntia Pachi article 2 of Ghana's constitution. Me do call 2(1). A person who alleges that an act or an enactment or anything contained in or done under the authority of that or any other enactment or B, any act or omission of any person is inconsistent with or is in contravention of a provision of this constitution may bring an action in the Supreme Court for a declaration to that effect. But maybe I did not bring it here. Let me bring it here. It's in the be a and the Supreme Court no per what we are reading here no mo jumane say you interpret the constitution. Then article 2(2) the Supreme Court shall for the purpose of this for a declaration under clause 1 of this article make such orders and give such directions as it may consider appropriate for giving effect or enabling effect to be given to the decision so made. So what it means here, and they say Supreme Court no momo jumane say who interpret the constitution no e chire obi a first vague to the person. Now I be interpret amanaba to the barest minimum level. Supreme Court mo jumane no. So what you failed to do, they say When Honorable Afenyamakins came to the Supreme Court, your onus was to interpret that clause of the Constitution. Now Obia speaker say Afenyamakins also say no. Now come on interpret it, but here you failed to do that, but you were rather ordering Parliament to cease from doing or taking an act. We are a member of Parliament. Chief Justice, we are a member of Parliament. And are you the Speaker of Parliament? And who told you to be in the court? We are more powerful chair, Barbie, and also people get confused whenever they get opportunity. Ghana, there are only two groups of persons, and it's chair for contempt of court or contempt. I mean, using that simple term, contempt. There is a contempt of court and then the contempt of Parliament. So I've seen people saying, say, speaker can say, oh man, you best cited for contempt of court. When he says speakers bit my cite justice for contempt of Parliament. People don't read, so you need to read. What I say? You need to read. The same powers in a court was oversight for contempt of court. No, the same powers in Parliament and so on for citing somebody for contempt of Parliament. It is a Parliament at Tenebium. Who are you to go and say what's happening? I want to say, Chief Justice, obey Chief Justice and Hefan of Akoe. Justice is in the Supreme Court. No, Hefan of Veto answer on Mokota now. And yet the same Parliament. And now if the president you come to Parliament and then you become accountable to the people, because Parliament is the only people they are accountable to the electorates. Electorates, voted them. In Ghana for and base 276 if people don't know. So Parliament also has that right, also that authority for contempt of Parliament. I mean, if I want constitution, Article 112. 122 maybe people do not know. So unima, then we will take our time. When I was a lawyer, why practice for 15 years? And so we continue court then you are not practicing at the coroner. That is what people are doing there. So much that say it's about money, say I have your money, say deal will be any. But they all call Ghana's Constitution, Article 122. Pacho, yen kind idea Article 122. Ghana's Constitution. Contempt of Parliament. Atifian seminal. And once people are saying there is contempt of court, your contempt of Parliament and so on. If you don't know and let that an act or omission which obstructs or impedes Parliament in the performance of its function, or which obstructs or impedes a member or an officer of Parliament in the discharge of his duties, or affront the dignity of Parliament, or which tends either directly or indirectly to produce that result, is contempt of Parliament. That is the contempt of Parliament. Until you have contempt of court, and at the same time, you say contempt of Parliament. Say your contempt of Parliament is what Article 122 is telling you. Say speaker and submit citing Munufie for contempt of Parliament. I'm also you think say you sit on the Supreme Court and you are so powerful, so they can't small can be. That is not what the Constitution of Ghana says. To Japan. Na Honorable Afenyamakins Timi Fred the whole Supreme Court don't Tuesday very funny pa the speaker Bama says when to take action utiate campaign attention
ono a say campaign attention ono a say campaign attention.
Hey. Sometimes this is the BS here because it seems to say some xenophobia the Constitution and they don't even read the Constitution. That is the saddest aspect of life. Because nipa na or no say on the Constitution, it seems to on kind here and our kind so our shedder. Ultimate thing I say, or that Speaker of Parliament is or no. We say Tuesday, we Chief Justice and say, we a member of Parliament. So baby we Parliament in Anum. Now what about audacity will be moved down there for the affair. Now wow Afenyamakins so also we a majority leader and you won't tell you ever from minority leader no. Say oh papa wo no. Say Afenya Markins was using some words. I was surprised. Say was it being called the speaker of the majority leader no, and the bona fide 10. Why not them out? You are a member of parliament. And for that matter, when you have majority seats in parliament, and then a mayor before so we a majority leader, and when you have majority seats in parliament, now say what buying a party no, a case a leader. That is when you become a leader. Or when Honorable Chairman Sambusu was a leader, and Afenya Markins, you were not the leader of government business, and for that matter, you were not the majority leader. And in the same vein, it can shift. Also, one tell say you're from a majority leader. Who are you? Majority leader, no man one or the man answer there. About to end up parliament no, and I will be majority seats. And I'm what if when you went to the election no, NPP got 80 seats, na NDC majority of the seats. Now, President Nado when you can you call yourself the speaker of the majority leader of parliament? Sometimes I'm people who have power and we are not about hand tying out, about hostile be. And I win him say I might be able to position at the NPP and say now you start to fight with anybody. I watched the video. Honorable Afenya Markins was fighting with Joy FM. Say Joy FM is doing the bidding of NDC. Now you Afenya Markins fighting the media. I want to say what lose about we. What's your position? I'm okay no. What position? Because now you see say what mean say any arm of government be at time NPP. Sanet here. What position no. Position na okay no. Kukurumutino yanga sa edia
na ebasa abato no decide so beto ama ndisi e wo asema no nyame masa obi so sa emfa unsa intim so baby and the wa waduma.
Yes Ali President Ronaldo say abato we yakwakoto kukurumutino ya edia obi nso wonsa emfa nkosisu se kotim obabi enti babi obetim akọ na wa wodia. That is the direction of Ghana for a team call. That is why I want to Afenya Markins you think say by force the two call you the majority leader onya majority leader henceforth you are the minority leader ebe shiwa mu o power nka say ko critique parliament of your own in your own house na from who say one are the leader of that parliament no you be from about here can dey there you are the minority leader. Now they bra parliament what Tuesday na kwatena majority seat na hwa there. What they wani fa wani ba ko bet say I vote for no. Be kokokoko no dey ko fie. Sometimes we need to prove to people say position the kitob no. Enyo man kasa omodio. Some people gave them the kukurumuti mandate and now they kwatena ho. Inti wonti mentena ho kasa wo ye more powerful can you be adabi. NPP ni bi anya powerful can you be Ghana ho. That we are all citizens of Ghana. Enti Tuesday, yemwe ni besi odanum ho. And then surprisingly no, mama found Supreme Court. I would have done yanko. Court no decision or the Arabian and we are going to read it. Ya baba kan ni nyina na fidi ahade. Supreme Court say speaker cases have 4 seats no, I vacant, which means a human rights issue. The human rights issue, no. Minimum how they understand these kind of things. So, Oma Sheda, and that's Oma Sheda, or the young one was a human rights issue. And then, secondly, no, constituencies, no, you better deny the right of having a representative in parliament. Montegan and Asal for the last 4 years, Omni MP. Easy, recklessly, I'm more the opportunity to get somebody to represent them, Supreme Court, Montegan, and I'm here you for. And then surprisingly, some of the justices of the Supreme Court can move to voter region. And you know, say your own people didn't have representations in parliament. What one carry? And now you are telling us, say 2 months to election, there will be representative in parliament. Why the case Article 112 of Ghana's constitution actually say constituency we bet matter Ghana, but 3 months to election, Omunya MP. If something said this will be a member of parliament in the constituency, not another Oua, young by election. But that microphone ain't member of parliament on to say about Supreme Court. You know all these kind of things. Article 112 of Ghana's constitution. But your young Kwane Article 112 of Ghana's constitution. Emma sa right and say there could be a possibility a place in Ghana might not have a rep in parliament. Masheda mudigma ena bro. Amefa onko asiepa Article 112, mankind 5 and then 6. About kind 5 and then 6. Wow, maybe take your time and then let's follow this kind of argument here. Whenever a vacancy occurs in Parliament, the clerk to Parliament shall notify the Electoral Commission in writing within 7 days after the vacancy occurred. And a by-election shall be held within 30 days after the vacancy occurred. Which means, also a Parliament and a vacancy be about clerk of Parliament, but easy for now within 30 days in normal hold elections. And then let's check 6 now. Notwithstanding clause 5 of this article, a by-election shall not be held within 3 months before the holding of a general election, which means constitution na make provision say constituency be better Ghana ho na any MP within 3 months to general election, and that constituency enya representative in Parliament. Until say obi MP no ka say we MP no and na enya by election, obi MP no wu na enya by election. It's like a lot of things can happen. Our constitution have made provisions for adequate betimesi ama constituency be enya rep in Parliament. Supreme Court mun nim say ade no. Say Article 112 of Ghana's constitution, that is what it says. Don't you know that? And these are the so-called justices of Ghana's Supreme Court. As a deception, or ma sheda e di ma na bro. Sheda se mu di ma no abro. Mini aboko amate. When Afenya and his scores are just power drunk and scared of what is coming. Now there's no problem about we. What was that? They be a bar. So we embrace it. That is how I think Afenya marking should operate. And so what you to say they be doing metiate. Until let me accept it. But to say a bona fide property and you being in Parliament and you'll be a property. There be and you'll be anything can happen. After your can say something can happen. I'm good. I'm only member of Parliament BM. And no bit many accident and I only member of Parliament BM. Or party bit can say you've done something and I'm kick you off only member of Parliament BM. So don't use words you cannot understand. You seem to be becoming arrogant whenever the moment you got that opportunity to become the majority leader. Now I said, "Oh, yeah, arrogant." But first, you were not like that. You were not like that on about Markins. So just tone down because Parliament and your papa for you. If you want to say, you need to go and sit down somewhere and read. And then Supreme Court to say, I got a Supreme Court whip. Sometimes I think I'm jump punching. That is what I know. That's what jump punching you. Supreme Court to say, MPs no kura ya momo kan ama man kasa. As much Supreme Court in Canada say MPs, they were not heard. And the obi den kwachi MP ni so make kasa na say. Now, I say Parliament in a court say a show by force be general say okasa by force. Parliament in your court too. I don't know what was in the minds of this justice. Parliament in your court. And then before, Right Honorable Speaker Barbin and making declarations, these 4 persons, they were members of Parliament. And they had every right to come and sit in Parliament and then talk. But they themselves felt the Parliament. So they did not come. And you are sitting somewhere to say they were not heard. And will be a member of Parliament, not all my Parliament in Mekasa. It's a Barbin and conference by force. What kind of Ghana Supreme Court is this? So is this a Supreme Court, a constitution? We interpret constitution. Is this how you interpret constitution? Say there will be opportunity to come and talk. And TSA by force, man Mekasa. Now Nipa answer at the time of Barbin making declaration. No, you're member of Parliament. Member of Parliament, heaven is or in Parliament. And they say, if the person so desires, say, I will not come to Parliament, why must the speaker always say, Baby, I want that, or you didn't go for what you said, Rebecca, what to be that? Why the cast ask them? Ghana Supreme Court, where they quite sometimes, and the decisions coming from the Supreme Court, I call us 7 years, Crano, 8 months, I say, we did a never go. Now, most. There were 3 arms of government. baako ye no what to say ono na ye the headmaster of the two enti ono kita ba o ya no atwe piu ya no agbo piu wo so nya headmaster mo nyina mo ye pe enti wo chief justice auto adwin say we powerful onya powerful your constitution na make you ye na onya chief justice you are an ordinary person to say na we Ghana ni pepe unni special position bia Ghana how chief justice onya headmaster or headmistress that be we ordinary person the constitution na I make it parliament no the same constitution no and I make you when you are not chief justice you are nobody. When if you are not in the Supreme Court you are just an ordinary person work for law school we a lawyer ubedi wasem kama uni bibia abm until they should take note of that. So how on earth will a Supreme Court order parliament, the speaker of parliament say on onye? Your duty was to interpret the constitution but not to tell parliament what to do. Ghana 5 justices no contempt of parliament achemo. I mean, for article 115 of Ghana's constitution, contempt of parliament achemo. Most minima de kura moko to amomo ye. Contempt of parliament na achemo. Article 115. There shall be a freedom of speech, debate and proceedings in parliament, and that freedom shall not be impeached or questioned in any court or place out of court. Court and parliament for your there shall be freedom of speech, debates, and proceedings in parliament, and that freedom shall not be impeached or questioned in any court or place out of parliament. Who has because parliament na koka? When you member of parliament, you don't talk. And then Article 122 na meka ye no. I mean, say fa unko bi maybe justice abahwe no. An act or omission which obstructs or impedes parliament, you are just obstructing the proceedings in parliament in the performance of its functions, or which obstructs or impedes a member or officer of parliament in the discharge of his duties, or affronts the dignity of parliament, or which tends either directly or indirectly to produce that result, is contempt of parliament. To 5 justices no most motives dem hu mutiate parliament be free munyina ba ho so mo fi some powerful chair parliament contempt of parliament under article 122 achemo, because you are trying to under article 115 no tell parliament for me enkwasiafo na mo ye more powerful sen mo people. You don't know what you're talking about. What I want to know now we NPP nia bosi tinate we bosi amo ko we are agorona afa campaign am we no na do se campaign ayi den.
Ono a use campaign no attention.
Sir.
Attention.
NPP 4.
Nkwasiafo pa.
Munufie. Ma she da kwa sister mo nkaza mo go for go all the court. Mutiate emfa. All right, 1 hour with Munufie and Midi, any William Munufie Aman Kona. This is live on YouTube. Team Pacho, so when you subscribe, that is how we've been doing it. But as I said, that is how I mean. And surprisingly, no, me when Tuesday Parliament, ibisi na ya say if somebody thinks say or more powerful change Parliament, 3 arms of government, no, near or no or more powerful, ye babe. Because the 3 arms of government, you know, ubia nye powerful enchi ubia, and then there is no agency. Ewa adene cause to say mo beti matana wakasa ma grant expert motion. We are emfa agency no way. Okay, court decision na court na nkasa akan. Momo de abeto ho a me ntia na ntia de na se. Se nipa de se ni beti matana Ghana o. Atwetwe de sa de we nyina se ono no or a more powerful chill being to no catch will be a decision or no taking when you can to take it. Ghana pa. Why nature court on Sadi? Court, why nature was Sadi way? Some more powerful chair. Why? One yes, Mamma final and some more powerful because you are the same to say honorable Speaker of Parliament, you know. Into what house now that okra. Into these are the 5 justices are omotena ansem no so no no. Sometimes no more my history. Na nkwala yesu history no esan edwen adwen fufuru bi de mamo. That is something as a court of Ghana no otomobo na mujai sa suban no. Ese mujai emwaman no ma democracy na ye practice no ye nya na poma sibire yie. That is something moya madwen say moye emwa. What I say? Because we are justice of the Supreme Court and just we wadwen say wo no we are more powerful say okasa obia ntimi nka asem na wo kan bi na wo nim nyansa chen obia that be it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. Esa motomobo na nyesa ona bo afenya markings be kan asem chema na maso na mudi milika that be it doesn't work like that. Mo yesa mudi man na bro. That is something you need to know. Ebeseremo all the justice of the Supreme Court no montomobo kakara mai. Montomobo because niamana moye no more ya say Ghana the democracy ne one. You are saying say there is an agency be say NDC for before me abide the policy bar omonjintum on be change committees in parliament parliament for human and your court when it's ochiro. Until there is no agency in this. Ubi entiminto be nkasa ade na parliament and it's agent say anyi ya abide na parliament and say ka ye to aba 2024 me fan say 2020 to aba no and NPP nya just 10 votes 10 members of parliament can so back there. And the amount of Ghana a whole constituency in Ghana 4 years or man nipa represent you have not seen this. Supreme Court anti-LGBTQ nemana edaba hono mo se mo hunu ye because muni mere Mela, yes, they are political judges. You know them. Overjo, me te un catch papa bibi aboko de. Me te un catch me bia me frɛ. And the Supreme Court mo nya adwuma ni ye na per the constitution of Ghana na ye kan de. Mo so contempt of parliament achemo. Send a can hand article 122 contempt of parliament achemo Monday Tuesday ye have parliament e Monday Tuesday ye have ni besi ho. So what officer would so powerful say wo power the guitar no wo more powerful chain speaker about me no in the office. Send about me into members chief justice what me council channel and I want me call president in Kokano. Ghana ye bobo numbers now speaker of parliament is number 3. Who chief justice was saying? Madam for mom power bin tan ye ho na nipa ko hu nanim. The answer mkureni. Oh, before we. What are you too much? Yes, been rough. That is the problem I have in Ghana and Kwana Southern War. Oh, Ghana judge and Kwana Nabimuno, or a powerful so Casa Biancabi. Because Ghana judge in him so Casa Wipa, or Casa Yanfan go to my Dobako. But it is timer. Also, your children must have more powers, most no more limitations on it. Because answer now, we judge in the Supreme Court, no, over far parliament and a court. So you are not powerful than the parliamentarians there. 3 arms of government, Obia on a Juma Oye. A Bia on a Juma Oye, just say, oh, supervise, we know we supervise, we send a baby Obianco in a Juma Emboroso. But it doesn't mean say, court no more about my headmaster, more the board mama can there be. You cannot order Speaker of Parliament to do what he is doing in Parliament. Also in the office, no. I want to say, no,
Ghana must work more efficiently.
Ghana, I'm working more efficiently than 7 beba. Enti abusanfo so what question BBC I think say this is the best time for you to ask the question and go for with the nya life mo what tena ho gigi we aponchi bi no makwa je hwie mfirimu ma a decision about taking mo there am for dem go to them afenya markings we are minority leader obi am from majority leader biem you are not enya papa post uni man kan enya papa position no Ghana for na this position no ahye won sa by the virtue say now all members of parliament or modoso and quite independent na kwaka ho enti ene pede article 97 no independent no on kan ho biem madam for uni man kan kire on kan ho biem yi na frim ene on kan ho biem And this is why we say I'm throw majority leader. Now one tia say there and is all kwashipo. It's all kwashipo. I mean, I found Article 97 BM and Yanko Hadi or Afenya Markins. Me, so a lawyer ni unim. A member of parliament shall vacate his seat in parliament. If he leaves the party of which he was a member at the time of his election. You can't be a member of parliament. On our Afenya Markins, let me just come here again when I'm saying, Ebiana unim adequate a member of parliament. So who intent of becoming a member of parliament are only a member of parliament. See a talk about you, our party be presidential premise are only a member of parliament. If it's a general election, now we're near only a member of parliament. You only become a member of parliament when you are being sworn in at the parliament house. And if you're also a member of parliament. And you understand to be a member of parliament, not Australia camper. You're man called future parliament. What to be that? Future parliament in a way. Future parliament is you are only a member of parliament on that current seat. That is why we call you a member of parliament. So if he resigns from office as a member of parliament by writing, so resign here, only a member of parliament. If he leaves the party of which he was a member at the time of his elections to parliament to join another party or seeks to remain in parliament as an independent member. But if party in the parliament, so NDC in the parliament. But how can we get NDC called independent or for the parliament automatically? H. If he was elected a member of parliament as an independent candidate and joins a political party, and if a part of parliament as an independent candidate, or if he was elected a member of parliament. Simple, bro. For law school, what I say? If you are elected as a member of parliament as an independent candidate, to say you parliament now, independent candidate. If you join another political party, or file with you, you say NPP candidate, automatically you've lost your membership to the parliament. I want to say the question. Now Afenya Markins. This is simple English. Nobody needs to tell you this. Also, and then what was a Ghana no? Ghana Bar Association. I just must say testing the Panama more certificates of my lawyers and what test on my brain. Man test on my brain. Sometimes because the way they understand the constitution, Honorable Katie Hammond say, or can say me na I was sad for him being a lawyer. Or say on Chelsea say Speaker Barber say decision now Professor Mike Quay at the man that no embinding no. Also on Chelsea the doctrine of supremacy of parliament in on Chelsea. Say previous parliament in the decisions it does not bind the current parliament. Sana 8th parliament with 9th parliament decision about 8th parliament and you're binding. We don't know. These are all members of parliament, lawyers. And simple class 1 law students know these kind of things. So when you learn the doctrine of parliamentary supremacy, sadi with a woman. In law class, in him sadi way. GDL, they say UK. First year in law, we learn these kind of things. Parliamentary supremacy in the UK, no? Binding parliament, previous one on decisions, it does not bind the successive ones. Honorable, you should know where your lawyer is. And boldly, he was boldly. I say, and original no worker. And I in Chelsea, and I was say, Professor Mike Quay, and bind, then I don't know, make it or make a reference. Hey, lawyer ni. We a lawyer, also a member of parliament, we a minister. Who go law school way? And I'm going for a law school, I'm certificate through a dance chamber after the end. Abba. Yeah, so. Oh, who did you go for? Ah. I'm going to say, who could have. If I'm doing so, we make media go. The doctrine of parliamentary supremacy. A boom. Ubia, could I law school could I a kind of than that. Bagana pa. For sometimes I have a whole sermon. When you listen to this kind of people, and then things they say and do, be wa or being one on Tiasie. All those UK parliamentary system and Ghana then any but that same doctrine and among the 3 arms of government, each arms of government be an independent by their own. And then even within the arm of anything and the Ghana court, it Michelle Miranda, China was out change law no, or change the current one no, and a be more powerful than the previous one. That is how they've been doing it. Honorable Katie Hammond being a lawyer say on TV that. Or say on TV that. We mean any pa. To Ghana hono opeja peja but we nya so do we could grow out come judge corona upon China o ma dia sem na ma no. We are also a lawyer.
Ono a use campaign no attention.
Mo Mamudu ba mia onya president da. Opa hwe. O we ni ababi o Ghana da. Agoro na wudi. Mo ba presa kiki 7 December ento ba efu na auto position na wotia. Ene no ene se mira ba mia be kwa kwatwe na ntwi no sa no da ma wanom. Ene kwa na be nom sa. Ode opa woni se mira ba mia fulani for mo koye no na mo nom. Ba se obey president of Ghana de lalai. Unje bida. Unje bida. Uradi nyankopon.
In the time of Mills and Mahama, 2 CDs, $1.
Okay.
Okay. I can't be telling me coffee about Umia. Some coming home. Yeah, she say you sick as some no.
Yeah, be see
Toilets.
Come say you sick as some.
See the night.
I want him be
you be any day.
You be cause so
NPP4.
Nkwasiafoɔ paa.
No. Ngo here. Afutu akopena na ado aka asemani age osi kukurumuti no.
Na ebasa obato no decide so beto ama ndisi. E wo asema, no nyame masa. Obi so sa emfa unsa intim so baby. And they wa wadwuma.
Afajo Amsterdam boko there. Na na rusi kukurumuti na to obi anso won sanfa ntim ba bia so. E wa wo den tebucha for this development never no. It's sad for Ghana, but the good thing is Emma Akwanya no Emma Odwin hu nipa obeto aba no ediama no. That is something I think I appreciate. Nti ene Ghana ni bia tewa hu nipa obeto aba man na hu nipa obese man no see giant people we are make catch so on ma Ghana tetia pantam. They know say they are going on to opposition. So on person say Ghana no. But we are not going to allow that. Ghana ni bia straight away say ye beto aba no tia mo. Enya de obi be ma Ghana na asay under your watch. So President Nana Akufo-Addo utimi ya de be boa ma oluman ka wa call pension e be boa wo Pia Professor Maikwe pa wona ma oto ne pasa papa we nyina we nyina nipa Nante ti say robot no Nante say zombie papa akokwara o say yourself o say no kwere fe no kwere de on kan bi wo Ghana da Professor Maikwe awura di yankopon we nyina be wu ma ya be Ghana yi kwa ai masa ha again because me dem nim say kan nipa de wunyi ko no wo hu say wa ben funu amana na no nanka wo sesa wa Professor Maikwe say no kwere fe no kwere de onka it's NPP nkokora for no o kan Munufie bo mo change the whole country 5,000 years no bi no adwen morning kwa Enti Ghana Supreme Court ye catch them say moduma afanyama kan de say you should have interpreted the Article 97 no on kasa mo kan speaker say wanya na dwuma ye because speaker ye na dwuma ye nya na dwuma ye o enya mo na mo kan speaker say wanya na dwuma ye. Parliament is an institution of its own. They have their orders, standing orders. Almost standing orders in accordance with the constitution of the country. So yeah, they be a constitution no achia mo dwuma say montino mo, but you are not to direct them when you headmaster of parliament. Be a country the court of some headmaster or headmistress, man say or a headmistress or your chief justice when you headmistress for parliament that be go that and then say na twene join sky say what now ma the boni bi Ghana we are coming after you because when are there ba we man before nya papa we man before interpret the constitution. That is what article 2 of Ghana's constitution can say Supreme Court mo dwuma say mo interpret constitution no and find other arms of government no yen ka say mo nkoye headmistress ma mo mfa ba mo so o na akwache na dwuma wonye nti say wo fi say we speaker of parliament Tuesday ko parliament na me ko kan MPs so mo mara na we twa was mo ho say hye Ghana o ti ona Timo the 5 justices na mo kotena no the justice pa judge muya judge muya we NPP parliamentary candidate ti say nipa we wo de ne kotena Supreme Court wa office den no nkoye ono a na gina hai papa we abia morning ko mine no grofobia ka bom say mine de yesay mine no yesay no ya mamon say no because mu nyina mo yankokora fo mon say no nko ye be make sure say mo ankasa nkokora fo no be kora no anse no be kwa amako na afi de nchirima no aba enjoy nti obie ni o ma okwan say mine na ko da bi obetena ase ama yini akora mine no o we a jaja yes o edo kotena hona yes so that make any laws we are go and interpret the constitution or they also o come or that say obi we are why
na ebasa abato no decide so beto ama ndc e wo asema anyo nyame masa obi so sa emfa unsa intim so baby and they wa waduma.
And the Supreme Court won't any right under the Constitution of Ghana to tell Parliament to do what they have to do. And no. You should get that straight and right. And no. So if you think the president appointed you until you are doing the bidding of the president should be a president under the Constitution of Ghana. Constitution of Ghana and he had the right to vote for. And the quarter of my president, and on the baby you. Answer now, quarter the Supreme Court on you came through Parliament, and when there until also contempt of Parliament, achemo, and Article 122. And he said, "Oh, the Speaker can say, oh, mobi maho now the contempt of court, bechina also contempt of Parliament achew. Also they have the right to sack you. You know my country. Oh, to one say we get the same punching, and I want assembly and people can we. Yenyane sa. Enti abuja for one hour with Munufie with the besi wa ha. Wow, what question be I want to see be na pacho obetimi ask in the comment section no na afede ye de asisi ani ho agoro no see ani no sometimes we need to bounce back and then tell the right things to the right leaders because yes Ghana na ye me ne won de ye be hwa mankurufo bi aseye no omo nyina so ye nkokorafo nko a ohwe Professor Mike Kwe or 20 pound me nante na papa we make decisions for the country or make decisions e dey ko wuo international say man was saying now. So you have to crack the whip on them. And then you need to attack them and tell them to do the right things. And say no be woo. Then PM say man no. Dabi yen ko say bi.
Nkwasi afopa. My Jimmy MPP for Jimmy. Me who be stupid people. I don't know why I belong to that political party.
In the time of Mills and Mahama, 2 CDs, $1. Okay.
I can't be telling me go far for me. Some come home. Yeah, she say you sick as some no.
Yeah, basic toilets.
Let me say you sick as some.
Nanade.
See you now, hata. I want him be any.
You see, you're being the day. You're the professor.
Ofajo, the reason why Ananado used to only Voterian judges and I did this answer when they say, well, who say NDC for no gets most of their votes from voter region. Inti oyene krokro de jon ayisu mamunko for against you. Sana Ananado here. What was Ananado came to the presidency with the sole aim say obabe gunkrofo bi animase. Inti edu time ono be kono ono mu nyina be kope ogum mu nyina mani ma say there's nothing you could do. Sabi no yes gunkrofo we and they have not even taken notice of that. And if you could see a prominent people in Ghana Ananado asheda agusa gunkrofo ni animase. Asheda ba omia say wa that is umbi no na ma it's a toy no. Mon festiano mame.
Mon festiano mame. Mon mestiano. Na minchicano. Enko baby ayesi eko. Mon mestiano.
PhD holder pa Dr. Ananka Ghana ni bia bunu ne na ma no bi esere no. Wana comedian Bobukala part 2 saa na ɔmo yɛ mo saa the prominent Ghanaians metima bɔbɔ kuku dem fa kɛse na do ahyɛ sɛ ogu sa nkrofo nyina ni anim ase sɛ na be ya ɔkɔ ano no mu nyina kɔ and that is the same thing on the judges we mu no and the judges they should start to use their common sense because when you are sitting on the bench I don't make judgment some way so ya adwuma bisa ho say decision you take akwala wadi 7 years kwan say na akwala na beti ase ta akwala na nti ase there then you have a problem nti me do bibia ase nyame ene mu nyina antena
Jimmy young people for Jimmy, me who be stupid people. I don't know why I belong to that political party.
Attention! Attention!
Stiano, Mami, Stiano. Unquasia Papa, my Jimmy young people for Jimmy, me who be. Unquasia Papa, my Jimmy young people for Jimmy, me who be. Stupid people. I don't know why I belong to that political party.